Welcome to Friday Friends, RI Elder Info's weekly look at the organizations and individuals providing resources for Rhode Island seniors, caregivers, and professionals.
Good morning, everyone. Happy Friday. It's a beautiful spring day outside. I really hope you have the opportunity to get out and enjoy the weather today after you watch Friday Friends, of course. So for those of you who are new to watching Friday Friends, I am Deb Burton, the founder and creator of RI Elder Info and rielderinfo.com. It's the most comprehensive resource for seniors, caregivers, and professionals here in Rhode Island. We cover federal information, statewide information, and even information for all 39 cities and towns. So if you want to know what's available, close to home, RI Elder Info has you covered for that type of thing. As I say every week, it's really important that you hit the like button and the follow button, but it's even more important that you hit the share button and share Friday Friends with your friends on your page, any groups that you're associated with, because we talk about things and resources that people need. More people need the resources than you might not even realize. So it's really important that you like and follow us, of course, but please share this out because we want to make sure that people who need the information that we're talking about are able to access that effectively. Of course, what we do here at RI Elder Info is, provide free information and resources to everybody. And that would not be possible without the support of our sponsors. So I have to give a shout out to Oak Street Health. They've been a great partner with us. They have locations in Warwick, 2 in Providence, 1 in Woonsocket. They also at present have access to the COVID vaccine. So you want to give them a call if you're looking for the vaccine. There's also Tamarisk Assisted Living, a wonderful little assisted living located in Warwick, right over by the mall. Full spectrum care for an assisted living, including memory care. They are awesome. Of course, what we do here is not possible without D&B Media, who's running behind the scenes, making sure everything comes up, making sure that the video flows appropriately, as well as England Studio, who helps us get the word out about our Friday Friends and our various other events. So for this week, I would like to introduce, super excited, AARP's Matt Netto. Come on up, Matt.
Hello, how are you?
Good, good. Glad to have you on this morning. How are you?
I'm great, thanks. Thank you for having us. It's really great to be here.
Yes, I'm happy to have you. So Matt, when it comes to AARP, first of all, let's start with the very basics. What does AARP actually stand for? The letters.
Actually, it doesn't stand for anything any longer. It was originally the American Association of Retired Persons. They have actually done away with that, and it is now just AARP.
Awesome. And was that rebranding to try to really get the sense that AARP is for everybody?
Yes. So, over the years, we've lowered the age demographic that we start working with. Currently, it's 50 and older. And from what we saw, years ago and leading in is you don't want to wait to start planning for retirement and what retirement looks like till you're 65. And many people are starting to think about that in their 50s and their 40s and their late 30s. So it was definitely, I think, prudent of us to make sure that we encapsulate everyone that is in that mindset of living out their life and living it as they choose to, as they age, whether they age in place or they want to travel or whatever they choose to do.
Yeah, I think it's really important for people to understand that it's not just for retirees anymore. I am somebody, I love my birthdays. I love the fact that I have successfully attained another year of life. And, being happy to age, I know not everybody is, but being happy to age, I was actually really excited when 6 months before my 50th birthday, I got the invitation to join AARP.
Yes, it's I have my friends, a lot of them are in their mid to late 40s, and all of a sudden they're like, oh, and then they realize it. Wait a second, I'm only 4 years away from being a member. So it's exciting. It's fun. We have a lot of great resources. Our volunteer corps is very vibrant and active, and it's a great group to be a part of. And we fight to help improve the lives and the choices that people, older Rhode Islanders, have, and we have a good time doing it.
So, what are some of AARP's initiatives? What is the do in AARP, in particular here in Rhode Island?
So in Rhode Island, just full transparency, I came to AARP in early November. So I cannot say I am an expert on everything that we do in Rhode Island, because there's one thing when you join AARP as a staff member, they tell you to take your time, be patient, because it's going to take you about a year to figure out everything that we do. Whether it's the membership side, the driver safety side, the tax aid side. There's many different dozens and dozens of programs that we have. But here in Rhode Island, we work on many different initiatives. We have our legislative volunteers, our advocacy volunteers, where we work on many things. Most recently, the last couple of years has been working on lowering the cost of prescription drugs for Rhode Islanders. Other things we work on are livable communities. My colleague, Darlene Rezzarossi, does a lot of work with livable communities, making sure that our older Rhode Islanders live in communities that are catered to them, accessible to them, and that they have the ability and the choice to age in place in their own community as they grow older. So livable communities is another big one that we work on. A part of that is green and complete streets, which we're thankful that there's many towns and cities in the state that are starting to look at construction projects and designing for their communities through the age-friendly lens, and starting to see what sidewalks need to look like, and what the walk-off ramps and on-ramps need to be accessible for people with disabilities and older people and people of all abilities. So those are a couple of things that we really work on. Most recently, one of our North Stars, something we focus on, has always been caregiving. And with the pandemic and the nursing home crisis and everything that kind of unfolded with that, we had to do a lot of work in the last year on caregiving, on a lot of education, and then just trying to keep tab on what everyone's doing and what's going on, and the latest innovations and technology that's coming out of Rhode Island and surrounding areas that can help improve people's lives here in Rhode Island. And we try to support other organizations that are working with similar mind frames as us, and really just out there to help with any type of initiative that would better the lives of older Rhode Islanders.
So it's really interesting that you focused so much on caregiving during the pandemic, because I think, what I was seeing and still see is the pandemic has, I don't want to say given an opportunity, but it's definitely shown a light on the needs of our caregivers and our older community. I think maybe for the first time in a long time, people really looked around their neighborhood to see who their neighbors were, and actually went out of their way to ask, can I go to the grocery store for you?
Yes.
But it also brought to light that there are many individuals who need help.
Yes, definitely 100%. And, the pandemic forced a lot of families to have to look at their plans. What are we going to do as our father, as our mother, grandfather, grandmother gets older? When they start to need care, is the best option for us a facility like an assisted living or a nursing home, or do we want to keep them at home in their home? And what's the plan for that? How are we going to be able to do that successfully while still manage our days, our jobs, our children, but be able to be a caregiver for those that help care for us as we grew older. As we grew up. So especially with the pandemic and the way that the nursing home situation evolved and unfolded with, the deaths that occurred, the overwhelming number of deaths that were occurring in nursing homes. it really started to put a focus back on what's it going to take and what's it going to look like to be able to age in your own community, age in place as you want to. So I think there's going to be a lot of changes coming out of the pandemic. I can't say specifically what those will be. I think there's a lot of very smart lawmakers right now that are looking into that. A lot of great organizations such as yourself and other ones in Rhode Island. I hear it constantly on phone calls that we have, and nationwide, looking at improvements to the system. What do we need to do in our own communities to allow people to have the choice to age in place if they choose to? Or if they have to go to a nursing home or assisted living, what changes need to be made there in order to be more prepared for, God forbid, something happens like this ever again. We luckily were able to, really give a lot of resources federally and statewide to nursing homes and facilities and caregivers. And it seems like now with the latest numbers and the vaccinations, we're really coming out the other end. The numbers on cases, exactly in nursing homes is very low compared to what it was. The death rates and hospitalization rates are dropping significantly from what they were in nursing homes and assisted living. So it's good to see. It gives it a little bit of a peace of mind, but we need to understand that diligence is still needed. And I think some of these precautions that we need to take now probably going to have to extend, maybe permanently, maybe for a long time. Who really knows? One thing we've learned is we can't predict the future. We can just hope to be and plan to be as best prepared for it as possible. And I think you mentioned what the pandemic did was highlight some of those gaps that there are and some of the potential issues that there are, which is now allowing us to start working on those issues and prepare for a better tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And, it was interesting because, as some folks know, I can be sort of a data dork. And when I looked at the information regarding long-term care, there was a striking difference between individuals and COVID cases in nursing homes versus assisted living facilities. And I think you're right. I think that there are an opportunity there to make some changes because the structure of assisted living facilities, a lot of times you have your own apartment, or you might, have maybe a shared apartment, but the space is bigger. There are fewer people in the assisted living. And I think that really played into the assisted living facilities being a little more successful in keeping COVID out and keeping the death rates out. So, I think that's really interesting. What AARP does a lot. Are you having any kind of community forums coming up soon to discuss some of the issues that people are seeing out there?
Yeah, so if you go on AARP.org/Rhode Island, we have our event schedule. And on the event schedule, you can see all types of events that we offer, nationwide events and also state events. Even as soon as tonight, we have movies for grown-ups. They're screening The Gatsby in Connecticut, The Untold Story. So we have entertainment stuff. We have educational stuff. We have healthy cooking classes. The next one is April 15th. And then, on more of a issue side, my colleague, our community engagement director, Darlene Rezzarossi, has been doing livable community forums with Age Friendly Rhode Island. They just had their first one this past week, and they are planning more. I'm looking to see what the next date is. And then we're also, we're working on some forums with the Attorney General's office to talk about, senior exploitation and fraud. And we also have on May 19th, we are launching and we'll be having a legislative update for Rhode Island, where we'll invite some lawmakers to join us to talk about some of the bills that we've worked on this year in the State House, some of the progress that's been made on some of those bills and where they stand, kind of where we hope to be by the end of the session and where we want to be in the future. So there is always a list of different forums, whether it be educational, engagement, or entertainment, And all of that is housed at the AARP.org/Rhode Island website. One I'd like to highlight specifically because it's so important to us is on Tuesday, April 13th at 6 o'clock, we're holding a volunteer recruitment event. It's virtual. It's a Zoom call online. You can hear from other volunteers that work with the AARP in many different facets and what they do and what they enjoy about it, and find out how you may choose to be involved. So that's going to be April 13th. And like I said, if you go to the website, click on the events tab, everything is listed there with registration information, more information on, kind of different happenings that are going on throughout the state.
Wow. So what types of activities can the volunteers get involved in?
So that's an interesting topic because it's something we're actively working on. I think every nonprofit right now it has to kind of look at their volunteer structure and see if we can adjust it to reflect the world we live in. Because while things are opening back up and we will get to in-person sooner than later, we all hope, I think the virtual world is going to be a more prominent part of our lives than it was pre-pandemic. And we need to be able to operate in a virtual world for the long run, as well as in person, on the ground, feet on the ground. So it's looking at our volunteer corps to be able to have volunteers that are, tech savvy or are willing to learn and that we could provide training for. Volunteers that, with all the meetings for legislative being online this year, we had to form a subcommittee that just monitored meetings. And you could do it from your couch. And that's the amazing thing about virtual volunteering is you don't gotta leave your house. You can sit right on your couch and provide testimony to the committees in the House, or watch a session and report back to the group on what's happening, or even keep tabs on your local advocacy and what's happening in your own hometown. So we do have advocacy volunteers. Like I said, they work with me on a slew of different issues, and we work on getting the word out to different initiatives that we're working on. They work on forming, building relationships with their representatives and their hometown, governments, as well as providing testimony, helping us write testimony, holding these forums that we hold, and educational stuff that we do. And then also working with Darlene on some educational stuff, teaching classes and learning how to teach courses and different things. It's very robust, and we are growing it as quickly and efficiently as possible. Most recently, we're starting to look into actually setting up our committees based off issues. So if your main focus is caregiving, we're going to have a caregiving subcommittee that is comprised of advocacy volunteers, community volunteers, communications volunteers. So we can really start working on making comprehensive plans to work on these issues year over year. So we're looking at, one for caregiving, one for livable communities, a special project subcommittee, which is, stuff that pops up throughout the year that we did not expect. Right now, COVID's been in our special projects bucket. And then we have our executive council, some of our volunteers that have been there a long time that are, well trusted and well versed in the way AARP works. They will join us on our executive committee, which is more like it's an advisory committee, which keeps keeps an eye on kind of the landscape of the state, and helps us build connections and relationships with different organizations and be able to assert influence if we have to, if there comes something where we feel like we need to speak up on. So there is a wide variety of things to get involved with. Yeah.
And you know what? I love the fact that you can be an advocate and volunteer right from your couch. I think that's super important. You don't have to feel like you need to physically go someplace, because I know some people get nervous about that.
Yes.
Perfectly understandable. At some point, COVID will go away. I love that AARP partners with other organizations to get meaningful change done. So, I don't know that it's necessarily, and you could tell me if it's still up and running, but AARP had at one time partnered with AAA to do the smart driving, safe driving program and the car fit events. And it, to me, that's one of those things where it is an absolute tangible change for that individual who participates, because we know transportation is a lot of times one of the barriers for our older adults.
Yes.
And when people learn that these programs are available, it makes an immediate impact on their life. And so I love how AARP really sees the bigger picture. So, when you're saying the livable communities,
Yes.
the curb cut that helps an individual, with a mobility impairment is the same curb cut that helps the mom or dad with a stroller.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
It works for everybody. It really does. And I like to think of it as you got to see things through different lenses, different perspectives. And what we try to do is work with other groups that can help us shine a light on the older Rhode Islander, or the older person perspective, or someone that's that needs more access, help to have more access. And it's all aimed at being able to choose how you age. If you want to stay in your own, if you're from, I live in Cumberland. If I want to stay in Cumberland for the rest of my life, I want Cumberland to try to make it accommodating for me to be able to do so, and make it an option at the very least. So, and luckily, I live in a town where they do a great job of that. So that's good. But not everyone's in that situation, and that's why we do this work. There is a large initiative right now, is an ordinance with the Providence City Council for green and complete streets in Providence, and they're hoping to interconnect every single community in Providence through this urban, they have a specific word they're calling it, but it's an urban trail through the city where you'd be able to go for bike riding, for walking, for you just navigating your way around. There's a way to do it on foot, and it's very exciting. It's very promising to hear that being looked at. That's also being looked at in the city of Newport. He's been working on an ordinance for a couple of years now. Now, in some of the newer ones, you have South Kingstown just started working on it. Portsmouth is working on it, and we're working to hopefully build a local advocacy machine through AARP with our volunteers that can help to push these initiatives in every town and city throughout the state. Because we feel it's very important for every town and community to see things through these different lenses, to be able to see things from different people's perspectives, and keep that in mind as they're going to do their construction projects. For example, one thing I keep an eye on is, all right, who's getting bonds in the for the state government to do this construction, redo roads. Because that's the thing, it's the easiest, if you're going to be doing, replacing the water lines and tearing up the roads, it's the optimal time to put green and complete streets initiatives in place. And if you miss that chance, he's probably not redoing that road for another 20, 30 years. So it makes it very difficult. So it's what it comes down to is us being able to hear what's happening in each community, in the town councils, in the city councils, what projects are coming up, because we want to be able to help bring that lens to those towns so that they can see things through the perspective to make it a better town, accessibility wise and livability wise for the older Rhode Islanders. So that's another pitch for our volunteers. We need volunteers from all over the state, and people that and even if you want to stay in your own town, volunteers that will monitor their own town council. What's happening? What projects are they talking about? Is there anything going on that that AARP Rhode Island might be able to help with? Because that's the thing with us is, unfortunately, through the pandemic, there was times where we didn't agree what was happening in the, throughout the state, and we had to come out and let that be known. But we don't want to be critical. We want to be supportive. We want to help things. We want to help initiatives, grow initiatives. And that's why, most recently, you haven't heard much from us on the we got the age based prioritization for the vaccines, and now we're number two in the country of people 65 and older vaccinated. Our state has done amazing job.
Yeah.
And we can't be more thankful for them for the changes that they looked at and that they made in order to have this accomplishment, and continue it into the future. So, we want to be supportive. So if you're out there and you in your own hometown have a tough time getting around, and what we're talking about is kind of putting light bulbs off in your head, reach out, because we want to talk to you, and we want to see if you're interested in working with us to find out who in your town is the appropriate person to talk to get the ball rolling. Because these things don't happen overnight either. It's going to be a process, a year or two, and it's relationship building. It's building enough relationships throughout the state so that we have the ability and the knowledge to step in and help where we can.
Yeah. It's interesting because Carrie Lynn, she's viewing today, and she commented, she said, I didn't realize that AAR did so much locally. Truly thought it was just only a national organization. So I'm glad that you came on today. There are things that AARP, in working with the volunteers and having conversations in the community, have really been able to push changes in legislation and laws and make things happen. Two huge things that impact people on a regular basis are the home modification grant.
I was just so the first thing I thought of when you said that.
Yep. And also the accessory dwelling units.
Yes.
So the accessory dwelling units, for viewers who don't know, if you need to convert, say, a garage into an apartment so that your mom or dad or an individual with a different ability needs to be able to have their own space, but still be close by, the accessory dwelling unit really kind of is a statewide effort to streamline and make simplified permitting and how to get that build done.
Yeah, and zoning and whatnot.
Yep.
And the tricky part about that is we get the state that's trying to aid in moving that along to make it an option, the accessory dwelling units. But this is once again why we need to work on local advocacy and need you in your own hometown, because each town does it differently. Each town has different restrictions and different allowances, and so it's something where if it's of interest to you in your town, please reach out to us, because one thing that I will say is, we have 5 staff members. We have 1 advocacy director, 1 community person, 1 communications person, a state director, and luckily we have a robust and amazing volunteer corps. It's the only way we're able to operate the way we do here is because of our volunteers. But it's the next step of that evolution in volunteers is being able to have them in each community so we can know about these things. And the other thing I wanted to really touch base on again is the Livable Home Modification Grant. So a couple of years ago, and like I said, I came in November. Much of the work, the successes we've had in most recent years was due to my predecessor, John D. Tomaso, who just left an amazing spread of work in front of me as I came on board, and really happy to be attempting to fill half of his shoes.
John is amazing.
He really is. So the Livable Home Modification Grant, people can apply to if you want to age in place, stay in your home, for grants that will help you get funding to put in whether it's a ramp you need leading up to your front door, or bathroom modifications or kitchen modifications to help you be able to stay in your own home. And it's extremely popular program, extremely popular, to the point where we have waiting lists. And just so everyone knows, there is a bill, and it's both the House and the Senate. We have companion bills out there. Livable Home Modification Grants is managed by the Governor's Commission on Disabilities. So you can contact their office if you have questions on how to get signed up or whatever it is. But it is not codified into law yet. So every 6 months to a year, we have to re-engage, go back into the State House and fight to keep this program alive. This year there are bills out there that would codify this to make it a permanent part of the budget so that we don't have to worry about whether or not this is going to go away. And we feel that's very, very important because it is such such a popular program. So many Rhode Islanders have taken advantage of it, and we hope that it's there for many more to take advantage of. And it leads to many benefits. You're not just making these modifications for yourself. What you're doing is making your community accessible. So, when you choose to leave or sell your home, there's people that look for that in homes. It increases the value of your home. It increases the accessibility of your community and your neighborhood. And it really makes an impact. So we're really proud of that program, that we helped to get that launched a few years back. And, we're hoping that the General Assembly really, steps up and codifies it, and the governor signs it, and we make this permanent so that it's always there.
Yeah, yeah. So Joe Reddish had an interesting question. Have you thought about doing any PSAs to educate the non-elderly about how they can assist the older members of the community and the importance of checking in on older neighbors or family members on a regular basis?
Yes, we have. As it is something that has come up, especially during the pandemic, since I've come on board in November. And it's something our volunteers talk about a lot. Our executive council talks about a lot. And I think it's something we, as a state office, probably need to do a little bit better job at, is more of the PSA educational, really getting it out there, to spread our demographic. You want to make sure that, I'm 39 years old, but I'm already thinking pension, and I'm thinking retirement, and I'm thinking, I have some shoulder issues and can't do as much as I used to. Arthritis already, unfortunately. But I'm even starting to think about it. And I just moved to a new community in Cumberland where I'm looking at my neighbors now differently. Who's there? Who may need help with this? Who may need help with that? And it's something I think we need to push out there. And it's also something we need to let younger Rhode Islanders know exactly what we do and how they can help.
Exactly.
Because they're only going to make the world better for when it's their turn to get into, be AARP members and older Rhode Islanders.
Yes.
So that's the way I see it, is just working to improve the landscape for ourselves as we age as well.
Yep.
Younger Rhode Islanders. So it's definitely a great point, Joe. It's something that we are actively looking at and working on, seeing how we can get better at doing stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. And so, Steph, going back to the whole modification grant, because I don't think it can be understated how important that is and why we need people to go out and support that legislation to make it a permanent part. So Steph had said this should be seen first and foremost as a wonderful opportunity for people to stay in their homes. But on the state finance level, because we all know it breaks down to money a lot of times, it improves the property value and its cost avoidance to someone going into a nursing home and potentially needing state Medicaid. And, if I can, viewers, the home modification grant, it has very, very, very generous income guidelines for you to be eligible. Okay, so it's not like you need to be Medicaid eligible to get this home modification grant. And it can cover, and this is kind of the unusual wording to it, but up to 50% of the cost, maxing out at $4,000. So you spend $8,000, you can potentially get a grant back for $4,000. Mm-hmm. You fill out that grant application and they turn it around extraordinarily fast. I'm talking like a week, 2 weeks, and you can get approved. And when you're thinking about how that can impact you directly, that's a ramp for you to be able to get in and out of your house. And you might think, I don't really need a ramp. I'm good. Okay, great. Do you know most falls happen in your bathroom and are like your leading cause of having to go into long-term care, unfortunately? Here is a grant that's going to cover 50% of the cost of getting grab bars put in. And I hear people say, I don't want to have those big standard industrial grab bars because they're not pretty. Well, there are some experts in installing these grab bars who can install grab bars that don't look like grab bars. Because I can tell you what you're doing right now. You're soaping all up. You're washing one foot. You're washing the other foot. You're holding on to the soap holder, face cloth holder as you spin around, and you're doing it on two soapy feet, and down you go. Yeah. That funding is funding that AARP put forward to make happen to keep us safe. That funding is what AARP needs, legislative support. So you want to contact your representatives to say, hey, I don't want to be the one that, can't afford to get a grab bar put in and I slip and fall and end up going into a nursing home. And now I'm paying a lot of money. It's
if you think that ugly, but if you think that bar was ugly, I'll tell you what's not pretty is a broken hip, or a broken ankle, or a broken shoulder. Or it really does. It really is just a great program, and we're really I can't say enough how much we're really hoping it becomes permanent, and that it can stay and hopefully be enhanced over the years as well.
Yeah.
So something we're really proud of that. Really proud of that program and how successful it's been.
So RI Elder Info family, reach out to your legislators. Tell them that this needs to be a regular funded program, that we just need it.
And I think it's also important just for people to know it's not just AARP that's working to help improve the lives of older Rhode Islanders. I mean, there is a massive community of organizations and passionate people, and we all see each other on the meetings every week. Every week we're talking about different ideas, and someone's always bringing something to the table. So I think people should be proud that they live in a state where so many people are passionate about helping older people in their community. It really is. It's refreshing to see, and it's exciting to be a part of. And if you want to get involved in any of the organizations, just pick one, and you'll have a touch base to all of them because we all work together. It's really truly is a collaborative effort from many different organizations and many different people, and it's a great group to be a part of. Really is.
Absolutely. So Matt, tell me, AARP, is it a nonprofit?
It is a 501c4, so it is a nonprofit. It's made up of several companies. There's a foundation where they do fundraising to fund initiatives, and there's a legal side of it. And then we have our membership corporation that handles the membership part of it, and we have our advocacy and community engagement side, which is where I work. So it is pretty robust. It is very large. I don't pretend to know even half of all of the operations when it comes down to it, to be honest with you.
So if people wanted to support the work AARP is doing, what would help AARP? Do you need financial donations? Do you need people to volunteer? We know you need people to advocate with their elected officials. What else could be helpful?
Really, the number one thing is the volunteering, and it's not so much coming to our meetings, or it's just being an advocate in your own community and knowing that we're here to help you. You can join our meetings, you can join our trainings, you can learn as much as you want to. We'll give you the education, but at the same time, we want people to know that they have a voice and their voice is meaningful, and it should be heard. And that needs to be heard in your own community. So, and that's really the major thing, is continue to be an activist, continue, like you said, we through the pandemic, lights were shown on different parts of the community that we really need to pay attention to, and keep those lights shining, make sure that we don't forget about it as this pandemic subsides. Keep looking out for your neighbors and, your older loved ones and friends. We luckily don't have to push for too much fundraising here locally. What we are able to do with our, it's like any other nonprofit, a very modest budget, but we make do with it, and we get done a lot of what we have to get done. And that's because we collaborate a lot.
Yeah.
If everyone puts their heads together and resources together, we can accomplish a lot more. So that's really my main thing is, if you want to get in touch with us to help learn how to be a volunteer with us, please do so. We're growing our volunteer corps daily. We need all of you in every single community. And if it's not us, volunteer with one of the other organizations that's doing some of this great work.
Yeah.
But really, I think, the number of volunteering leads to all other things in nonprofits. If you want funding, if you want more money to come in, get more volunteers. If you want to make a larger impact, get more volunteers. invest in your volunteers. That is probably the most crucial and key step to becoming a successful nonprofit, is investing in your volunteers and making sure that they have the resources they need to carry on your work, and also to feel good doing feel good about doing it as well.
Yeah, volunteering is not just about the organization receiving it. You receive something as well. And Steph made a great comment. She said, it's been one benefit of COVID that so many of us have gotten to work together virtually and learn more about each other's programs and advocacy. And I echo Steph's comments 100%. If it weren't for COVID, I don't know that RI Elder Info would have launched Friday Friends.
Yeah.
But this has enabled us to reach thousands of people on a regular basis, to get the word out about what's happening, in the aging community, in community-based organizations that benefit our fellow Rhode Islanders. And if it weren't for COVID, that might not have happened. So, as you were saying, it's going to stay. It's going to stay.
In some form or fashion, it will. One thing that we're looking at now on the advocacy side for legislative and that type of work is, so everything went to, all the state meetings are now streamed. Everything, you can go to the computer or go to Capitol TV, you can watch it. And, you can do your written testimony, or you can do, verbal testimony and not have to leave your house. It has opened up accessibility to the government process and to having your voice being heard exponentially. There are so many people, older Rhode Islanders, that they can't go to the State House at 5 o'clock on a Wednesday and sit there for 5 hours for their turn to testify, but they can sit on their couch with that phone next to them, or sit at the kitchen table and prepare a testimony. And when they get that phone call, let their voice be heard. Yeah. It's been powerful to watch. Let's say, a mother or a father with multiple kids, they can't just leave the kids at home and go testify at the State House. The pandemic has led to this ability, and it's something I think we need to protect at this point too. And that's something we're looking at legislatively, and I'm talking to a couple of our community partners, is there legislation that can be brought up or brought forward that can make some of these things that have been implemented permanent, so that we can keep this level of access and availability to get involved going into the future, because it really has been one of the good changes that I think has come about, is the transparency and accessibility of state government during this.
Yeah, absolutely. I really do hope it stays, because it does make a difference. If you are, say for instance, you're working and you have something that you want to go testify, are you going to try to get out of work early to go to the State House and testify? Probably not. But can you make that call as you drive home, using your hands-free system, of course? Can you make that call from home while you're cooking dinner? Absolutely. And I really do hope that is something that stays. I think that's going to be really important going forward. I've personally found it very helpful, when now Governor McKee, but at the time when he was doing his Tuesdays for small businesses, his advocacy, yes, and his community conversations on Wednesday evenings, the accessibility of that, to be able to speak to the Lieutenant Governor and ask questions directly. And if he couldn't answer it right then, that he legitimately got back to you. I think that is important, and I don't see why it wouldn't be possible for public meetings to continue to be live streamed, whether it's on one of the Capitol TV stations or if it's streamed on social media. I think that's something that is also going to be super important as these go through.
It's something that's becoming more and more of a focus for us here locally, just from hearing from our volunteers, and how much they enjoyed it, and they found it to be rewarding and accessible, just better for them, just all around, to be able to do it from their own home and not have to, walk up and down the hallways for 4 hours. So, some people, and believe me, I'm not saying let's not go back to in person. I want to be in those hallways. I want to be there and see people and shake hands and, have those conversations that can get the ball moving on some important legislative issues. But at the same time, I want to preserve the accessibility for someone that chooses or has to do it from their own home to be able to do so.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So a lot of moving pieces, a lot of things going on at AARP. I am so grateful that you were able to come on today. This has been amazing. And I know we talked way longer than I told you that we would be talking, but if this has been
That's
just...
the thing. When you get me going, I just go. I won't stop. I need that hook that pulls you.
Yeah, I mean, this has just been such a robust dialogue. We were able to share so much information.
We're looking forward to, working with you in the future, and continuing our work. And please, I mean, it's not just me. I would suggest bringing Darlene on. Darlene Rezzarossi, our ASD community. She is a powerhouse in all the programs and education she does. And, it's experience too. John Martin, our Associate State Director of Communications, is really a media whiz and is probably the reason you see most of our stuff, in all the newspapers and the websites and everything. Phil Zarlingo is our state volunteer president, who, if you talk about volunteering, started as our state volunteer president years ago. He went on to be the national volunteer president for AARP across the country and is now back with us. So we have that experience here. Of someone that sees it from a national stage, that is now our lead volunteer here in the state. And then we have our amazing and fearless state director, Kathleen Connell, who has been a staple in Rhode Island for many, many years and has been with us, AARP, for 20 years. And we're so happy for her that she is finally announced that she is going to spend some time this summer and go to the beach and relax. And she's going to be retiring. And we're very happy for her. I am upset for me because I absolutely love working with her. She is just incredible, a great mentor, so smart, so experienced.
A powerhouse.
Yes. It's going to be so sad to see her go, but I'm so happy for her that she's going to get to just go relax.
I'll believe that when I see it.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much she's going to be around. She'll definitely be around, but she did say, she's never had a summer off, so she's looking forward to it.
Yep, we'll see how that goes. Well, Matt, thank you so much for joining me today. I really do appreciate it.
Oh, thanks for having us. Invite us back anytime when
I absolutely will.
Love to do it. We would love to do it. We love speaking with people and getting the word out about, really what we do here in Rhode Island. So you said many people hear us, AARP national. You might see ads, but a lot of stuff we do is behind the scenes and kind of quietly. We speak up when we have to, but besides that, we're just trying to collaborate and make things better for older Rhode Islanders and all Rhode Islanders. So thank you for all you're doing as well. This is quite the production. I wasn't sure what to expect coming in. I've seen them, but it's very easy to do this now. It's just the virtual world has many amazing things to offer.
Yeah, absolutely. And what you see is the magic of D&B Media.
So congrats to them. This is great, and congrats to you. And look forward to working with you and continuing the work. And hope everyone has a great weekend.
You too. Thank you.
Thanks. Have a good one. Bye, everyone.
Well, everyone, tons and tons of information and resources from the accessory dwelling units and legislation that's going to be super important in the home modification grant, the driving capabilities. I mean, holy cow. If you're just tuning in now, you just met me speaking with Matt Netto from AARP. Hit the rewind button. But also you want to share this information out because, wow, we covered a lot. Yep, it's a long video. We covered a lot, though. Information you need, information people need, information people need, but they aren't saying they need it. So super important that you share this video out with folks, share it with, any groups that you're a member in, just share it out. Make sure that you like it and follow it. And I look forward to seeing you all again next week at 9 o'clock for our next Friday Friends. Have a great week, everyone.
If you like this video, please follow us on social media and subscribe on YouTube. For more information, visit rielderinfo.com or call 401-585-0509. If you have any questions, email deb@rielderinfo.com.